Earth, Mars, Mercury. Earth, Mars, Mercury. People, Earth, Mars, Mercury. People, Hi, everyone. People of the Earth. People of Mars. People of Mercury. People of Venus. People of Pluto. To the planet, but whatever. People of Uranus. Hi, we are back, and this is an episode about exposition, which is not when you take your pants off and make people look at your willy. That's exhibition. It's us. We're back. We have another episode for you. It is the 12th of February 2025. Things happen.
February?
Did I say February?
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
Have we traveled back in time again?
It's September.
It is September. Have you woken up, people? No, that's when it ends.
It ends when wake me up when
it ends. Okay, we'll wake you up. So don't worry. Keep sleeping. Go back to bed.
Yeah, sleep your sweet sleep, Morpheus, my sweet summer child. It's autumn now. So my witty companion here is
VoleMaulder.
You could say he's the Citizen Kane of video game podcast hosts.
So really, really old and black and white, or yeah, I suppose so. And my soul is black, so yeah, it works out.
There you go.
Yeah.
And moi, Space Otter, what movie analogy would I put me in? The Snyder Cut of Justice League.
I don't know. The first thing that came to mind, although I suppose that movie characterizes me more than you, is Freddy Got Fingered.
Hey, how many episodes did it take for us to bring up Freddy Got Fingered in the podcast?
Just 11, I think, or 12 if we count 0. But yeah, no. 0 is 0, it's not 1, so it's 11.
Well,
I think.
How many times did I make the jewels reference in Resident Evil 5?
Quite a few.
Yeah. I could not resist. Anyway,
for anyone who doesn't know what this film is,
don't look it up. Just yes. Go watch it without any context.
Yeah.
Like, don't get spoiled. It's very important. Like, trust me, you will have more fun watching it without knowing anything about it.
Yes. Especially if you have other people with you and you all watch it together,
yes.
Because it's a communal experience.
Yeah, this is a recommendation from us to you. Take your girlfriend by the hand, or your partner, or your boyfriend, or your mom, your grandma, all the family, your small children, your niece and nephew.
I don't know about small children, but
it's full child friendly, and sit down and watch Freddy Got Fingered together. For legal reasons, you should not do that. This is a joke. Okay, cool. So, today's topic, exposition.
Yep.
In video games. What do we mean by exposition?
We mean, I suppose, by how games reveal information about their world, background, setting, characters, all that kind of stuff that gives more flavor, more context, history, all that. The stuff that is not main stage in the game.
So mansplaining.
No, mansplaining is explaining something that the other person knows already how to do, or perhaps is even an expert in. And you, not being the expert, but being the man, you take it upon yourself to educate the other person about something they already know. Condescendingly, if you do it condescendingly as well, it works better.
Let me tell you, Mr. Doctor, how vaccines don't really work.
Yeah. So, it's more like the... I'm going to show my hand here. I'm going to open my cards and put them on the table.
It's very hairy. Do you moisturize?
It's when games don't trust the player to figure shit out. Or they don't know how to show things, but don't tell most of the time.
So that's a negative experience, you will say, with exposition.
Yes, like usually when we exclaim exposition, that's what is happening. Like someone is telling you stuff that they don't know how to show. Otherwise, I would argue that for myself, like if I've not turned my mind on in the mode of I'm kind of analyzing what I'm playing right now, but more like just playing through it, I tend to not actively and consciously think about how a game does exposition unless it does it badly. And then it starts to become apparent and go, oh, okay, now we're in exposition mode. Otherwise, when it happens naturally, I don't really think about it.
I think you're talking about over-exposition or something that we're definitely going to delve into. Because exposition can also happen naturally and not by dialogue. It's any way that a game can...
Yeah.
Or a story or a book or whatever can artificially or more naturally, let's say, present its world to you. Ideas, the story, the themes.
No, I agree. It's just I wanted to say that for me, like automatically, the association I have with the word tends to be negative because that's mostly how it happens.
Yeah, and I think I know why.
Why?
Because the moment you have to point out an exposition is because you noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
So every time, like any modern superhero movie, I know you don't watch them, you're lucky enough.
I make my own luck, motherfuckers.
Oh, actually, you know what? There you go. Interstellar.
Okay, I've watched that one, yes.
You do get the 15-minute, not 15, maybe 5-minute exposition scene early in the beginning to explain your black holes and your physics and everything.
You do. I will say here that it's been a while, so I don't remember this film very well.
I remember that was clunky, and I was like, come on.
I do remember it seeming a little bit clunky, and it was like, oh, no, we're doing the exposition. At the same time, a topic like that in a film where you have very limited time and you need to keep things moving quickly, it seems really hard to not do that. Yeah, anyway, we're not talking about films, so yeah.
Okay, you've started with the negative stuff, and you seem to have something in mind. What do you have in mind?
What I have in mind is the two go-to means of exposition that video games tend to have, which is text and audio. And some games do rely on it so heavily that it completely breaks the immersion for me. Like, it's one thing to go around the world and occasionally find some item where you read it and you go, right, okay, this is giving me something. Or there is a plausible way for audio logs to exist in certain places in a world.
Mm-hmm.
But then you take that and you make it the only way to do exposition in the game, and then starts to feel more like a theme park or a museum that you go through, and there's Exhibit 1, the audio bit for it, Exhibit 2, the audio bit for it, or this is that scene over there. BioShock is notoriously bad, in my opinion, for this, to the point that it's been associated with that type of exposition. I think, to be fair, perhaps System Shock did that before it, but it's the same pedigree, same studio, same creator, where, like, it seems like every person in every room you go is like everyone in that world is walking around with a tape recorder and just talking out loud to themselves or leaving notes to themselves, but on different tapes on every room. Like, there's no one device where you record everything, even in sci-fi settings where it would make sense to have, this is my tablet, this is where I write my diary or my log. But no, it's a separate tablet in different rooms with one entry.
And do you know what? In my entire life, and I've worked with professionals, let's say, of different industries, never once have I seen someone keeping notes in a tape recorder, using a tape recorder, or multiple ones.
Mm.
I literally have never seen one being used. Notes on like laptops and stuff, yes, I found, but it's usually like bullet points, and I never see bullet points in like in a game that we recently played, which was Resident Evil 5.
Oh, right.
Which is one of the ones I'm going to bring up for bad exposition.
Yeah, that was terrible in that regard.
You get those like scientific, let's say, logs, and it's just like, let's shove as much as we can in there without it being too bloated. It still became bloated. And just explain the loose, shitty science that we have there, while at the same time trying to shove a little bit of character. It's not the worst that I've seen, but it's really not good. It's very artificial.
Yeah, it's very artificial. It's not the worst in terms of artificiality and how it does it. It's one of the worst in my recent memory because of how just plain uninteresting and badly written those logs are. It's like Dear Diary, but let's explain the background of that character in a log about some experiment for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if we found newspapers that were doing a series of investigative reporting on what was going on in that place, that would have made a bit more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I will bring the game up a little bit more in detail also when we are discussing the good stuff. But have you played Her Story?
I have not.
So that's a game that I found that uses these recording type of things in a very good way. Because it's not...
Let's describe what it is for anyone who doesn't know, because it's kind of an obscure game.
So Her Story was quite big. Oh, when was it made? I don't remember.
So Her Story came out in 2015 initially for Windows, iOS, and Apple, and then it came out on Android apparently in 2016, like a year later.
Yeah, I know that the next game of this person, Immortality. I don't remember the developer. I'm really sorry. Sam Barlow, right? Sam Barlow. Come on. Immortality is also on Android.
Okay.
I haven't.
Sure. Well, I mean, why not? It's just that I don't really do mobile gaming, so I don't know.
When I fly, I need stuff everywhere.
I just read books.
Fair enough. I know. I need my Switch. I need I need everyone to know that I'm a virgin. Anyway.
Yeah, I also fly with a light switch. I never click it. You never know what might happen. But you know.
No, I mean, like, it's a long like stick.
Switch?
That I use it to keep women away.
Okay. Anyway, Her Story. What's Her Story?
So Her Story is an investigative game, but the investigation is done by you digging into a computer's files. So you have like your gameplay is basically going through an OS and discovering old like videos and interviews with the main character that piecing them together creates her story, right?
Right. Okay.
Makes you solve the mystery. That's good because while the exposition is part of the puzzle, it is made under a condition that is natural for the character to speak to the camera because it's an interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a key piece to the game. Like it's understanding what's going on compared to insubstantial stuff that try to add flavor, and if done carelessly and without real skill, they just feel like a complete waste of time, like a vacuum, like it did with Resident Evil 5. It is, I think, like it's the same type of mentality when it comes to exposition, but a positive and a negative example.
Yeah. Okay. This actually reminds me of. I'm trying to look it up now because it was so long ago that I played this. There was a game that was, I think, FMV. that was called Missing.
Missing.
Okay.
No, I don't know it.
Yeah, the way it was an investigative adventure game on PC ages ago, and they had made fake websites for it, so you had to actually search on the internet for clues.
Sounds a bit like Quadrilateral Cowboy, I think.
I'm not familiar with this.
I haven't played it in full. I have it and I should, but
okay.
I think it's Quadrilateral Cowboy. I'm not sure.
And they even had a thing set up emails that you could email other people who were supposedly investigating the same thing, and you could exchange stuff. But it wasn't actual people. It was I don't know what I imagine it wasn't chatbots at the time, but more scripted responses that you would receive when at a certain point you would reach the game, and it would direct you towards a certain clue, and it's this person has been looking into this, or you'd come into a fake forum where someone has posted something or their blog, and then you would email that person that email, and then you would get back exposition, so to speak, which in that way it felt completely natural. Of course, you had to suspend your disbelief to an extent.
With all games you do.
Yeah. But it was awesome. I imagine at that point this had blown my mind, because it's this is so amazing. I want to believe, to use the catchphrase that has inspired part of my name, but it was awesome. So that's a great example, and I think her story sounds similar in some ways, that this is what you do in the game.
Maybe you should play it. I don't know, we'll see.
Maybe I should.
There is another game that I want to bring up that we're currently playing, so we're not going to dig into it.
We'll talk about it eventually.
I think it deserves. I don't know if it deserves it, but it will.
No, it doesn't deserve anything other than. I'm gonna say something terrible here, and I don't truly believe it, and I will caveat it. What this game deserves is to be shut down, but it doesn't at the same time. What this game shouldn't have been released. It shouldn't have been made.
You're not saying anything controversial right now,
The controversial thing for me personally is to say that something should be shut down, because the way it works, then that disappears. And I think it's important for the to be preserved as part of video game history and what it was at the time that it was. So people to be able to see this for what it is.
Fair enough. I mean, we are doing our part by playing through it.
Yeah.
And preserving it in our frustrated videos.
Yes. We're talking about Anthem.
Anthem. A game that no one ever thinks about.
Yes.
Okay, some housekeeping / backstory before we go into why I fucking hate exposition in Anthem. We learned that Anthem is being shut down, right? Yeah. That was announced a couple of months back, maybe a bit more.
I think it was about somewhere there.
It was, I think, around July.
Early summer or midsummer, 25.
Midsummer, good movie. So Vol had the bright idea, what if we played Anthem before it gets shut down? So we stretched it, and now we're playing through Anthem before it gets shut down. We hate it, but anyway, we're doing it. So Anthem does one thing. It really thinks it's witty and funny, while it's not. It really tries to have this tee-hee, wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing that it cannot pull off. It doesn't, the people in there, sorry, but they just, there's no writing chops in there to warrant this. You're not James Gunn, you're not Edgar Wright. You just don't have it.
No. And I know people don't dislike him these days, but they're not Joss Whedon either, because I think that's what a lot of them are trying to emulate as well in the writing, the Buffy style of serious plus witty, but they have no
Yeah.
idea how to do it. And it's not just Whedon. He had a team of writers around him, persistent and consistent through all of his shows, at least up to where I followed him. Well, I've watched Buffy, Angel, and Firefly plus Serenity, but I've not really watched Dollhouse and later.
Me neither.
And it's not just him. Like, he had a team of writers around him that were consistent through those shows. Like Jane Espenson was, I think, an excellent one. Greenwald, Tim Menier, all these kinds of people. Like, it wasn't just him. So that kind of style, I think that writing group had it nailed. And I think there's so many attempts of emulating that in later BioWare games that perhaps it's part of that. Perhaps it's what you're saying, like from the Marvel influence as well.
I think the current wave of this is Marvel, and I think it started with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Which the movie, like Guardians of the Galaxy itself, probably is the only reason why I ended up watching so many superhero movies, because I just cared about that group of characters.
Just so you know, like, I've not watched any Guardians of the Galaxy. My only exposition to it is the video game, and I thought the video game was good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think it was really, really fun, enjoyable, and funny, and witty, and I think they nailed that, whoever did that video game.
I think the video game did a good job emulating the feel of the movies.
Okay.
Of the James Gunn movies, and I feel the movies were better, writing-wise, but...
All right. Yeah, okay.
But they create this very toxic, let's say, type of standard that Marvel really try to emulate, really try to continue, and it just doesn't fucking work, because you just need a good, like, writer, team of writers behind it to happen. And Anthem, what does is tries to do that, tries to expose an entire world, tries to set your character into the world that it's trying to expose to you, all at the same time. There's no breathing room. There's only wittiness and noise constantly. Everyone around you talk all the time, on top of each other, while you're trying to do missions, while it gives you text to read, and while everyone is a fucking husk of a character, especially Mr. Fucking short, buzzcut.
Owen is his name or something?
I don't know. He's so fucking annoying.
Your handler or whatever the fuck he is. The thing with Anthem, like, okay, there's the criticism of, like, we don't like the writing, we don't like the tone, and that can be subjective. Maybe there are people who enjoy this. The problem with Anthem is it doesn't set anything up. It throws you straight into action, and people chattering constantly in your ear, throwing out just word salads of terms that you have no idea what it is. And then there's a whole encyclopedia hidden in menus, half of which tries to be witty, and half of it is like completely dry historical text or whatever, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yep, correct.
Like, Destiny did something similar. Destiny was even worse in a way about this, because it didn't do anything through game dialogue even. Like, there was a world there that looked, in my opinion, very pretty, but it had nothing in it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree on the pretty, but...
I know you disagree, but so that's what I think looked really pretty. However, where I...
It's well rendered.
Yeah. Well, no, I like the style. I like the artistic style of Destiny.
I just don't, but that's subjective.
Yes. Where Destiny goes a step further in how to not do exposition than Anthem is that, at least the first one that I'm familiar with, because I've not really played the second Destiny, you unlocked cards, like codex entries, so to speak, that you then had to go to the website to read. It wasn't even in the game.
How is that success? Wait a second. How is that good?
It's not. That's what I'm saying. It's even worse.
Okay, I thought you were meaning that it's good, or it's like, okay,
No,
cool. No, that's shit.
No, as I said, it's like it takes it a step further in how to not do exposition.
Okay. I mean, I will say the one positive thing is that it's not trying to mix it in with everything else. Like, the problem with Anthem is that, like, no matter how bland you might think the world is, no matter how drab you think the actual dialogue is, if you throw it in an action scene or in a dialogue after you have already been dialogued at or watched explosions for 20 minutes, or you have had to learn like 5 or 6, 7, 8 mechanics, like, it's not gonna stick. Breathe. And I have the game to counter it, like the perfect game to counter this.
Please do.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, that's one I have not played yet.
I know. I'm not gonna explain the story much to you, but
no, and we don't need to explain the story for this kind of discussion.
But it is a game that, if you're unfamiliar with the world, it has to introduce a huge world to you. It has to introduce characters to you, and it has to put you in that world as a person of importance. So it has a lot to do with very little, right? And at the same time, it's a game that does not want to waste time not having you in something. And I find the introduction of Baldur's Gate 3 one of the best openings of any game. Why? Because it understands what is the core importance in your story, and that's your characters. It introduces them bit by bit, one by one, and does and very few little bits about the world. It's character centric. You care about the relationships, and then the world starts making sense around them. Because you don't need exposition regarding a world to cover the entire world. Because you, as a point of view, as a player, your world is the characters that you're interacting with. And the world comes as a result of your interaction with them and your position in this world, not the other way around. You don't create a world and then put your character in there, because if the world itself is not affecting me and the characters I'm supposed to care about, who fucking cares?
That is one way to do this, like in a game that is character centric. But something could be world centric without being character centric and still work. Like something like Bloodborne. You don't care about characters in Bloodborne.
Yes and no. There are characters that you care about and characters that tie into the world in an important way. But the something that I will. So is Bloodborne your?
No, but I'm going to the other end of something that is not really about the characters. Like, the characters are there and play some role, but the driving, the central character, if you will, of the game is the world. It's not the people.
Yes, but one thing that happens in all FromSoft games and makes the world important to you is that the character is is empty enough for you to insert yourself in it. Like, in comparison with Anthem that we're talking about now, or like, let's say, a Mass Effect game, without saying that Mass Effect is a bad example. I think Mass Effect does.
No, actually, Mass Effect is one that I was thinking about, like somewhere in the middle, where it's both characters and world, and we can maybe get to that. But yeah, make your point first, and then we can go there.
What I'm saying is that basically, with something that is so mute and generalized, like, you are able to just skip the main character and input yourself there, and just experience what's happening around you, comparing with something that really depends on the story, let's say.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like the only way to do it is character centric. I'm saying like if Anthem wanted to succeed, that's what it should have done.
Well,
I think
either that, it should have picked a lane, I think, because you could be character centric, and if you're character centric, what I'm hearing you say is that the way Baldur's Gate did it is a good way to do it if you're a character centric game. If you're a world centric game, perhaps From Software is a good example, although I have some critique for that. Like a lot of the exposition in that, like we talk a lot about environmental storytelling. There's a good chunk of environmental storytelling, which I think in how we loosely defined exposition is exposition, right? Like the
it's a type of exposition. It's a way to do exposition.
Like From Software games are often brought up as good examples of environmental storytelling. However, a good chunk of that happens in item descriptions.
Yes,
but like in terms of the immersion in the world and in the game, what actually happens? Like you go around the world and you find a piece of armor, and the piece of armor has a piece of writing in it that explains stuff about its history.
Fair enough. I mean, you mean it's not like particularly organic to the world and how you interact with
it.
Because my other thing that I would bring, that caveat, don't get angry at me, I love From Software and I love the world and I love the games. Sometimes I feel they go in another extreme, that they're so vague at times that can be interpreted as anything. And it's not necessarily that that's a bad thing. It's mostly that any crackpot fucking thing that you might want to make up, you can potentially do it and like arguably, like reasonably argue for it, like in an online video, let's say.
Yeah.
And you could be right, you could be wrong. Like at times, like I'm like, okay, was there actually a direction there, or were you just not sure what you want to do with it, so you just left it like that, and then everyone else is filling the gaps?
It could, like if we were to take a cynical view of it, perhaps there is a little bit of that. For me, the way I guess From Software does that kind of thing is the closest to, like the closest analogy I can think of from another medium that can be equally vague and leave it a lot to you to fill in the blanks and make it your own, is poetry. So in some ways, this is my big like not pretentious because I actually believe this, but the oh yes, quite, I'm so sophisticated moment. I think From Software games are poetry in video game form.
Yeah, at times I agree with that, and I believe that as well. To me, it goes a little bit too far at times. Not always.
Fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And only the games that it seems like they have less direction, or at moments that they have less direction. The item descriptions have never been my thing.
I'm more of a immersion kind of guy. In games that I find the world fascinating, I try to embody the character as much as I can and get to a point where I feel a sense of presence inside the world. And I can suspend my disbelief and go with, okay, this is the rules of this world, and I'm going to roll with it. But there are things that break it for me, like that type of thing that I just said with the descriptions. Like some of it, I can understand it in that it might have its roots in old video games where graphics were not as photorealistic or detailed, and you would rely a lot on descriptions. Older Baldur's Gate style games, like the 1 and 2, Pillars does this, like the old computer RPGs, even text adventure games. Like there was a lot of description, but that's text, so maybe that's a different thing. But so the stuff that had graphics, but the graphics were simple in their own way, and you would rely on descriptions because your character saw this in the world. You don't see it exactly the way the character sees it, so the character describes the item to you. Or the narrator or whatever. It's like playing D&D or something like that, and the DM is describing to you the stuff you find. I can accept it up to that point, but then modern games, when I pick up some sword and it tells me stuff that is not on the sword, where do I get that information from as a person in that world?
Yeah, I
That's where it
understand
breaks a little bit for me.
So you would say that a way that this could be solved was to make the item interactable and make details on the item that would tie in with other things that you might think of.
Perhaps. Like
Take na-
Pillars
take-
is a
take
great example
note.
in that.
Game. I'm saying take note, game developers.
Right. Like Pillars is an interesting one. I know you kind of bounced a bit off of the world itself, but for some reason it clicked with me. It's more organic in that sense, in that something happens to you that you don't know much about, and you go to a city and you try to find people who do know, and then they tell you because you ask them questions. There are libraries, and you can go and read books in the library. So organically, if I want to read a lot of stuff, it's there.
So basically, Skyrim made it right.
Kind of, yeah. I view Mass Effect as a game that does it similarly. Like, has codex entries. You can go through the entire game without reading the codex entries, and you'd know still enough about its world and about the people in it and all that, because it kind of happens organically. And a lot of it happens organically in the first game. You go to the Citadel, and there are those VIs that are meant to introduce their guides for the city, for the Citadel, because that's the hub of the galaxy, and a lot of tourists and a lot of new people come there who don't know much, and that's where you get your information. It's like a tourist guide. It makes sense to go and ask the VI, tell me about this. What is this? And you are new. It doesn't start with the characters, that game. For me, it didn't start with the characters. It starts with some big thing that grabs your attention, and you go, what the fuck is happening here? And you go to investigate it, and you find things, and eventually the characters start to come together. And it becomes both half character driven, half world driven.
See, I need the human element always. Like, no matter how much you introduce a world to me, if I don't give a fuck about who I'm dealing with, you can lose me. Clearly, I played through all the Mass Effect games and it did not lose me, so it did something there. But it has not struck a chord with me as much as Baldur's Gate 3 did, or Clair Obscur, which are both extremely character-driven games.
They are. I think this is just a personal, individual difference between us. I think thinking of.
Yeah, now it's not good and bad. This is just,
yeah, that's what I mean. It's not.
Anymore.
Both are legitimate and both can be good and bad in the way they're done. Like, I'm thinking now of the sci-fi that I really love, and go back to us great sci-fi that I've read, where it tends to grab me is the world. Like, Arthur C. Clarke was excellent in this, in describing events that captured my attention, my imagination, my curiosity. He was great at doing conveying the awe of first contact with an alien civilization. The characters were secondary in a lot of his books, and sometimes were bad as well, badly written, very basic. I didn't care. Rendezvous with Rama, for example, or 2001. They're not character-driven stories. So I think that's where Mass Effect, for example, clicked with me. That's perhaps why Pillars also clicked with me, because I wanted to know about the world, and then people came with it, and they were welcome because they were also interesting, and they introduced me to more of the world. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying what works better for me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm more emotional. I like all this sappy human shit. The saddest.
Hey, I like sappy human shit as well. It's just, yeah. It's not like I don't like it. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Like a game that had both and did all other kinds of expositions very well. Perhaps not the audio logs, because they didn't exist in that world. Did they? No. Well, maybe occasionally they did. Was The Witcher. Because they had excellent character relationships, but also had an interesting world that initially I was like, it's just another like gritty, gloomy fantasy setting, and I ended up like caring about everything in that series.
Same. The Witcher, I think, has one of the nicest worlds. It does come from books.
Yeah.
However, and I don't know if I'm going to be controversial saying it, I think the games did it better.
Okay.
The books have a lot of character, don't get me wrong, but there's just something else that shines in the games, and I don't know how to explain exactly.
I have only read the first book, which is a collection of short stories that felt a lot like describing side quests that Geralt was doing.
Which I think is my favorite book out of all of them. So
I'm not saying this as a dig on the book. I enjoyed it a lot.
I love the series as well. I love the books. Maybe the last one less. Well, definitely the last one less, but I do it. The Witcher was one of the first and only fantasy worlds that I got really, really, really into. So
what did Witcher do so well? What do you think worked in it? Like, I know, I'm just curious.
Because Geralt is a little baby boy. Geralt is a fantastic character.
Oh, you mean as a cat? Okay, yeah.
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 You see him in the beginning as like this like weird stoic man. And it starts breaking that character like down like little by little as the game goes on. And it's it's just a very like nice character portrait in the end that it creates by the end of Witcher 3. And also what works is that it introduces you to the world as a newbie, because in the first game, if you remember, you were just dead, so you don't know what's going on, you had amnesia. And you get introduced to it from the point of view of a character. So it all starts coming in together slowly as you're exploring, not because like a man with a beard stood next to you and you say, 15 years ago, when the big kingdom of Lafrathar invaded that's not how I care to do this. I didn't come here to be in a museum.
Also, no one really does this. Unless you come across a bard who is doing this for whatever reason, organically, no one does this. And as you're saying this, I'm thinking, like, it uses that amnesia. Like a lot of games use this as a cliche.
It's a smart cliche, that's why it's used. It works.
It's not just the world that Geralt has forgotten stuff about. He's forgotten about all the relationships he had with people. And you come across those people in a way that as a player, you come across the characters and all the relationships and the friends and whatever. The people that your character has history with. And you don't know that history. For me, let's not generalize it. At that point, I struggle to keep embodying the main character because I don't know the history between them, so I don't know how to respond. And by responses, you get to find out the history. So, like, it's like all of a sudden you're in the middle of a room where everyone knows everyone, and you don't know anyone, but apparently you do. But Geralt, again, having forgotten all those people, you come across them with Geralt, and you're like, who are you? How do we know each other? Like, what's the history here?
Yeah, but that's the magic of it. It's like both you and Geralt.
Exactly. It's very organic.
Yeah, both you and Geralt are in the same shoes. You both have no idea what's going on.
You just know how to kill monsters and how to play video games. So on that, you're also on the same page. You know the mechanics.
Exactly. And your knowledge of it is as big as your vision. Is as big as what you can touch.
Yeah.
Like bit by bit. I think it's very organic, and I think it was very successful.
The other thing that I think that game does very organically is exposition through text. Because part of your job as a Witcher is to do research on the stuff that you come across, on how to kill them, to read about the monsters, to read about ingredients. I think that's the best way to play it. And it's, again, very organic. I'm not doing this because it's a game. I'm doing this because that's what I would be doing. That's what Geralt would be doing. He would be going around finding books about monsters and herbs.
Mm-hmm. And also, let's remember, like, and remind everyone in case, or tell them in case they haven't played the game. It's not a spoiler, but the context of the text that you find is smart because it's always diaries, letters, or like research/recipe books.
Yeah.
Or novels, because there are novelizations in it as well.
There are, yeah. Or like you go and ask some herbalist about something or something like that.
And it's all organic because, in that world, there's no technology. So it's not like I'm going and find a diary in 2025 when there's like phones and everyone speaks to each other and no one fucking uses diaries anymore. It's the medieval times. And also, like, the rules of the world are kind of like naturally introduced to you because you kind of have to fake it until you make it as well. And also as Geralt, because like, okay, you have the general idea, but do I remember how to do it? So you find it slowly enough. While the game like introduces like small chunks of like gameplay at you.
Also, things happen around you.
Yeah. And you learn. You're not the center of that world. Compared to The Witcher, that like everything is it's taught to you organically. Like one game that I played recently that I've talked about before, but I wanted to bring it up as a bad exposition and point my finger and wave it at the game. And holy shit, I think I'm gonna be attacked by fucking weebles or whatever. Persona 5. Sorry, like I love Persona 5. Like that game oozes style, like to such a degree that's just stupid. It is one of the most dynamic and interesting turn-based games that I've ever played in general, and it feels like such a natural evolution of the genre. And then I played Clear Obscure. But one thing that it does, despite having an interesting world, despite having good characters, and it's a problem that I find in a lot of games, and in a lot of JRPGs in specific more of the time, is over-explaining. It's over-exposition. It's like, you get introduced to a thing, and I don't want to go into specifics here because I don't want to spoil things about the world. But you get introduced to a thing via, let's say, a text that introduces to you as a tutorial. But then the character is going to repeat it to you in a long dialogue. And then you're going to be repeated again the next chapter in a long dialogue.
Okay.
Or then an event is going to happen, and then everyone's going to reference the event in a long-winded way of words that you would not speak like this. Also, game, you've introduced this thing 3 times already to me. Shut the fuck up and move on.
I wonder, why do you think it does this?
Because I think it believes that the players that are on there are going to skip at least one of these.
Yeah, that's possible.
So they need to remind them. They need to remind people. However, if you're like me and you leave the dialogue because you want to experience, what is being given to you, a game that suddenly was like 100 hours, now it's 120 hours, something. Why? Because like I've experienced like however many hours of repeated dialogue, and I don't need this.
There is a thing, I suppose, in video games that is a problem by the nature of them, and the longer the video game is, the more this is a problem, which is how to account for players leaving your game for perhaps weeks or months and coming back to it. How to remind them organically what they're doing, how they're doing it, and all that stuff. You notice it done well in some games, like I think I remember seeing some interviews or panel discussions from the Uncharted era of Naughty Dog, on how they were trying to solve that problem and make it seem organic, like little bits of references in dialogue, or how to like position the camera, or certain blings in the environment to draw the player's attention there. So there are ways that it can be done when the game, I guess, is very linear and it has simple systems. With something with more complicated systems, I can understand that there is a problem or a challenge there. So if you play it continuously, you get continuously reminded of stuff that you already know.
I mean, I understand it.
I would expect that at this point, though, with the tech we have, they would have some way of knowing, like an if-then. Like if the player hasn't played this for this long.
There is a journal.
Or even like a pop-up of, hey, you've not played this in a while, do you want to be reminded of stuff?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there is a journal, like a player could potentially like interact with it, go and like catch up with what has happened with a summary or whatever of the story. But seriously, like the constant reminder and dialogues that are too much fluff. Like there is an art, I think, in removing, like keeping back things than over, like putting too much there. There is like something very valuable to understand as a writer, I think, what to hide compared to what to give.
Is this a persona problem? Is this a genre problem? Is this a culture problem? Because I'm also now thinking that Kojima is really bad at doing the same thing in some ways.
See, I was actually kind of thinking about Kojima when, like a bit earlier, but I was like, should I bring it up?
I think we should, because like
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding starts with the most ridiculous on-the-nose exposition that if you told me that was on purpose and it was ironic, I would believe it. Like the initial ride, I'm not spoiling anything, this is like the first 10 minutes of the game or so, well, ish. You walk down a mountain a while it introduces mechanics to you, and then you come across another character where he goes, as you know, and then describes for 10 minutes stuff about the world to your character, who's part of that world, and explains to your character how your character does his job.
Uh-huh.
It's like the most inorganic exposition ever.
And later you have loads of audio recordings, loads of text. It's mostly emails, but also like self-diaries.
Yeah.
And how interesting things are is such a hit or miss. It is a little miracle of a game, I would say, because like despite being over explaining and over everything, I did manage to stick through it without being annoyed.
I'm more amused at this point than annoyed.
Yeah. I think he went too far with some dialogues, though. Okay. And I think he was worse in Metal Gear Solid at times when he would spend by
so far. By so far it's ridiculous. Like
when he would spend 15 minutes explaining Godzilla or whatever. And it's like, you know what? I really appreciate your fascination with these things. I really do, and I really like whenever Kojima gushes about something he likes. But there's a time and a place.
Some of that was optional, I suppose, because he had to call the people. But still, like, yeah. The codec. And amazingly, I did really, on some level, miss the codec conversations in Ground Zero and 5, although I didn't finish 5.
I haven't either, and I'm thinking if I should.
Like, it almost seems like it wasn't really a Metal Gear Solid game without those long-winded, irrelevant conversations in the middle of urgent shit.
Yeah. I mean, at times he was, like, taking his time to like, explain some political things that happen in the real world in that. And it makes sense in that aspect because you are playing as spies, you are playing as like political pawns, let's say, as rebels, but there were some others that are like so unnecessary.
It's just that you'd think that type of briefing would have happened before you were sent out on a mission, as opposed to, hang on, in the middle of everything happening, let me have a half an hour conversation with you in my ear.
Yeah, and also on top of that is like when he tries to explain the mechanics or the biology or how some of these goofy characters work, it's like, you shouldn't do that. Let them be goofy characters. I really don't need context in there. It's like when Prometheus started over explaining the alien and the xenomorphs to you, because like it's no longer scary. You've explained too much. It's like all the Friday the 13th sequels or all the Halloween sequels. Stop explaining things.
I want to watch those.
Well, Friday the 13th actually doesn't explain too much. Halloween is worse for it. But anyway, like that over-explanation is like, it's not...
What do you think? And let's try to keep this as spoiler-free as we can. What do you think of how Disco Elysium did some of this stuff?
Disco Elysium is organic. You're a guy that cannot remember much, that should be a detective.
Yes.
So you are like...
Supposedly.
So you are trying to dig into stuff and find things out, while at the same time being an awful drunk. So the world already doesn't make sense to you, and you're in a town that you don't know. You're meant to find things out, and whatever you find out is as a result of your actions to dig into stuff. Yeah. It's natural, it's organic, and also fucking well written. Like, so fucking well written.
I think that is a big part of it, because there is a lot of internal dialogue and monologuing happening, describing things to you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of processing, like the characters processing shit.
You basically, the part of the, like a big chunk of the exposition of that game is the mental processing that's going on in your character's head.
Like it's you like talking with your own guilt, or you talking with your own lust, or you talking with your own intelligence or whatever. Like very basic things, not basic, but like things like that. Like they sound very weird and wacky, but it works in its own way.
So Disco Elysium is of the kind of old computer RPG, but it's more like an adventure game, I think, in my view. So top down, you click on things, and there are a lot of descriptions and stuff like that. And you have your stats are in a way personified as parts of yourself that have things to tell you.
And it also has a very good visual equivalent, which means like the world is built in a way that is very distinct.
Yeah.
And it accompanies what you're seeing and what you're thinking.
It's also quite playful with the amnesia trope again.
Yeah.
No, really, I have forgotten everything, but like, you're not listening to me. I have really forgotten everything. Something's wrong with me.
And Disco Elysium has loads of dialogue as well. Like
it does.
And it handles it very well.
Well, that's the main thing it does. It has dialogue. You talk to people. That's the...
I mean, the game that we spoke about previous episode, which was Forgotten City, has a lot of dialogue. And I think it also handles it very well. A game that has no dialogue, and yet I find it one of the most poignant exposition pieces ever, is Journey.
Oh, I was expecting to hear a different game, but yes.
What were you expecting to hear?
Outer Wilds.
So Outer Wilds
it has a little bit of dialogue, actually.
It has dialogue, and you can find text, and you discover a lot because of text. But Outer Wilds is fantastic. And it deserves its own episode. By itself.
It does. Like, I think my mind went there because a lot of the exposition is also archaeological finds and discovery that you do.
Yeah. But no, for me, Journey is excellent in how it introduces everything. Because when you were talking about poetry in video games, here you go.
Yeah.
It's extremely simple. linear and short. It's very vague, but it has a central theme that no matter who you are, you're gonna find something in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is so simple, it's genius.
Yes, and it does it all as well through consistent symbolism that you can interpret in the way you want to interpret it.
Yeah. If you're religious, you can find religious themes in there. If you are just a person that's going over something very hard, you can find it in it. Like, and to talk about Journey is like always such a joy for me, because like it's such an intense experience, and all you do is just, there is a peak of a mountain, let's start going there. You walk a bit, and then you float a bit, and you jump. That's it. Does anyone ever talk to you? No. There is not one word in the whole game.
And it does even multiplayer, and it does player-to-player communication without that being traditional type of communication.
Yeah.
It again uses the symbols and the very, very simple language that it has. Journey was such a moving and profound experience for me when I played it, that kind of solidified video games as a serious art form right next to music for me.
I mean, if you remember as well, it was one of the first times I said, okay, there's something here. It was one of those games, like, because when I met you, you were like, you know what, video games actually have a lot of stuff here. Like, just try this. Just try this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh.
It's a deceptively simple game because it looks very simple on the surface, but it can be as deep as you want to engage with it.
Mm-hmm. What I'm basically saying to everyone that writes video games is write nothing. Don't write anything. Just throw a game at people and expect them to understand. That's it. So what did we learn out of everything here now, today, here that we are?
Well, we've learned that I guess we both value organic exposition a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That we also value the game trusting the player to do some of the work required to engage and meet the work.
Yeah.
The greatest power of this medium is the interactivity. Otherwise, you have films, you have music, you have books, all that kind of stuff. It is a medium that incorporates every other medium, which can make it very powerful through the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the player to interact, lead them a little bit. In that interactions, there is a level of co-authorship that can be achieved. But that needs the game to trust the player to do it. If the player doesn't do it, it sucks. I get it. And then we enter into the problem, I think, area that we've touched on before, of seeing games and designing them more like products and thinking of user experience and accessibility. And a lot of times accessibility is, I think, mistaken for other things than accessibility is. It's one thing having subtitles, colorblind options, options for hard of hearing, or options for people who don't see very well. Those are great. That's accessibility. Accessibility is not, I'm going to explain to you everything and I'm going to spoon feed you everything. Otherwise, you may not get to see everything in the game or connect the dots yourself.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the end, if you're not ready to engage with an art form, you just are not part of the intended audience. And I'm not saying
just don't.
And I'm not saying that all games need to be very into their story, and all games need to expose you in it, and all games need to do it right and everything. I'm not saying that. Like, you can have your silly games and everything. You can have your Doom. Like, but
silly games can do exposition well. Okay, a recent example that comes to mind is Little Kitty. There's not a lot of exposition in there, but as a cat that falls out of your home and you don't know anything about the big city, you come across some animals and they introduce you to things kind of organically. And you go about and you explore and you play with things. Like, I know it's a little bit of a stretch, It's
A
a very
little
simple
bit.
game.
A little bit.
I just want an excuse to mention Little Kitty Big City again because of how much I loved it.
Is it one of your top 10 games of all time now?
Nah, I wouldn't put it that high.
Oh, for a second you were thinking about it. Top 20.
Okay, I need to make that list to actually see if it makes the cut. Like, I know what my top 10 of all time is.
But does it feel like it makes the cut?
In terms of how much I enjoyed it and had a good time, yes.
Find it, you heard it here, gentle people. Vol's favorite game of all time, Little Kitty Big City.
Well, you have Dog's Life, so...
Dog's Life is a masterpiece. I'm not going to take anything out of that.
Does it do exposition well?
I don't remember. Join us on my stream at some point when I'm going to play Dog's Life.
Yeah, that's the best call to action. Join me
Cool.
at some point. I'll do this, maybe.
Yeah. No, follow me on Twitch and you'll see that I'll do Dog's Life at some point. The aim is 2025, but we'll see.
I mean, Alan Wake straddles that line between serious and goofy and silly. And again, is fairly organic most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe your Guardians of the Galaxy game? But I think at this point we're stretching for examples and we're not finding them.
I suppose we are very serious people who only play serious games.
I never play silly games for babies.
Yes. Why is it so hard to think of a fucking game? Like...
Do you remember Jazz Punk?
I remember Jazz Punk.
That was silly.
So, okay, like Ratchet and Clank has people talking to you, but it doesn't do it obnoxiously.
Ratchet and Clank kind of like... like all its exposition in tongue-in-cheek because it knows that everything that introduces shit.
Yeah.
And it's stupid. So like... Whenever introduce like science or a race or like aliens to you, they just go, take a black and black blocks and the black and the blah blah blings, and you're just supposed to shrug and go ahead because it's just dumb and it knows it, and that's cute. That's like one of the charms of the game. So yeah.
So there we go. Then that's an example of a game who is not like high art, but can still do the same, use the same tools frugally. And with awareness of what it does.
Knowing that Vol is going to cut this last bit to death because there was like a huge pause for us to try and find an example. Just so everyone knows, this took 15 minutes for us to reach the conclusion. The conclusion that Ratchet and Clank is not that bad at the story.
The game that initially came to mind was a game from Microsoft. And I don't want to be platforming Microsoft as much as I can. I don't want to shine light on that company, even though like we talked before, the Xbox 360 was a milestone of a console for both of us. And that generation of video games, I'm okay to talk about only PS3.
Well, and the computer and...
So, Killzone then. No.
Killzone. It's a game about fish.
Someone needs to do this. I'm not get sued.
Right. So what we learned today was don't do exposition at all. Say nothing in video games. Assume people are geniuses.
Use the medium organically for what it has. Like, people don't go around talking to themselves and leaving traces of that everywhere. Bioshock.
And use the large with nitrogen. Lee.
Huh? What?
Use the large without nitrogen, Lee. Yeah, the medium organically.
Oh. Okay.
So you can find us on social media. We are in Mastodon and Blue Sky. We also upload our VODs in YouTube, so we would love you to actually subscribe and like and all that fluff. This show could not be made without the help of some of our dear friends. You know who you are. So I would like to thank you. And finally,
We would also like to thank your cat,
my cat
Bepis.
Bepis, that is not in the room today, and he's not trying to sit on my laptop this time, which is a change. So, yeah. Any closing words? My closing words are figure, salmon, concrete, obliteration.
My closing word is dragoon, the verb to dragoon.
You should drag the goons out of your living room. That didn't work too much. Good night, everyone.
It's all right. Bye.
Why good night? Why am I assuming it's night for you? Eternal night.
It's the eternal night
It's
of the
the
soul.
eternal night, and it's never the day anymore. Such are the times.